Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my homestead. I am Esther, and this is Esther's Eden. So I have left my sourdough starters. This is a wet one and this is a dry one. I have left them in my fridge for 2 months, and I thought it was about time to do an update video on a video that I did a little while ago on sourdough starters when I changed this wet starter into a dry starter using the Elliott Homesteads method. So I thought we would do a little bit of an update and share with you what has happened. I literally have not made bread in 2 months, not sourdough bread anyway. And just things have been crazy. I just haven't had time. We haven't wanted to eat it. Yeah, we just haven't made it. I'm gonna clip in some footage for you guys on how to revive a sourdough starter that has been left in the fridge and neglected for a few months. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip that in here for you.
Okay, let's do a little update on this here. So this is the sourdough starter that I've had forever. It's literally been sitting in the refrigerator for 2 months with nothing but a coffee filter over the top of it. You can see it's pretty disgusting in there, but you can see some bubbles. So what I thought we would do is show you that you can indeed revive this guy. So what we're gonna do is I took equal parts flour and water and just mixed it up. You can see this consistency here. It's pretty sticky. And we're gonna dump into this clean jar the sourdough starter that we have. It's not much. I think I will scrape that out of the bottom too, but then we're gonna dump this food in here. Okay. And then all we're gonna do is give this a good stir. Okay, I'm gonna take that spoon out and I'm gonna leave this on the counter for a couple of hours, probably till tonight, so about 4 hours, and then I'm gonna feed it again before I go to bed, and then first thing in the morning I'm gonna feed it again, and we'll just see how many feedings it takes to activate it again.
So we're back. So after feeding this guy a couple of times, you can see now it's all nice and bubbly again. And I went ahead last night and whipped up another batch of bread, and you can see it has risen. We're all good. So if you think that your sourdough starter is bad, if you have left it for a long time, if you've left it on the counter where it's warm, you might have to work a little bit harder to save it. But if you've left it in the fridge, and even though like this one, you could tell in the video it had some like weird black stuff on it, I mean, it didn't look good. So, you know, you just pour that off, and it's pretty easy. You can bring your sourdough starter back from a pretty bad state and really quickly. This only took 3 days to get it back to a really great active bubbly stage. So yay for that. I didn't lose this. I've just been kind of in the process of deciding, do I even want to keep a wet starter, or do I just want to stick with this dry starter? So let's talk about a few of the differences that I've noticed between these two starters. So I've been making this version of a recipe for quite a while now, a couple of years, and we really like that really crunchy outside of the bread that it gets when you bake it. And the inside is super fluffy, and it's really quick. It's really low maintenance. So this I just mix up in the night, like I just did it last night, and it's about 8 o'clock, 8:30 this morning. And all I'm gonna do is leave it for another 6 hours or so, and then I'm gonna bake it. There's really, you don't do anything with it. So I can make this same recipe with this starter. I just haven't done that yet. In fact, I may end up doing that this weekend because I want to test it and see. So this sourdough starter, when you leave it in the refrigerator, a little photo bomber back there. So when you leave this in the fridge, it gets a funny smell. It's not a bad smell. It's not bad. In Shay's video, she actually described it as skunky, and that, like, now I can't get that out of my head. So I would agree. It gets like a skunky kind of smell. And even right now, like, it smells sour. It doesn't smell bad. It just smells sour. Whereas this dry starter, I can't believe it. It smells like yogurt, like homemade yogurt, not store-bought yogurt, but homemade yogurt. And it's pretty crazy. So this has been literally left in my fridge just like this. So it's a little bit cold right now. I did give it a good stir last night, and it's still going strong. So I have enough in here to make one more loaf of bread, and then I will have to go ahead and revive this and put it back in the fridge. But that's it. There's like, I just took out a piece to make my bread here, and I didn't revive it. I didn't have to keep feeding it until it got to this point. You can see this, it has bubbles on it. Well, maybe you can see this. It has bubbles on it and in there, and it's active. That's all I need. And then this is what I'm going to be making my bread out of in just a minute. So, I don't know, like, the smell of this one is so good. It smells so much better than this other one, even though, I don't know, I think this one's just familiar to me. So I'm going to keep playing with it over the months, and I will do another update video in the future. If you guys are interested in making bread and knowing how to make bread, I did include that whole process. Everything that I'm going to do today, I put that in the video, and I will, the video that I linked for you guys. So, that's kind of where we're at. Like, I hope that helps you guys if you're trying to decide which kind of starter you want to keep. I mean, this one is way less maintenance. It keeps for a lot longer. It doesn't get, like, it didn't get the weird black stuff on it that this one did. This technically should be fed every single week at least, but I wanted to test it and see what would happen. How far can I let it go before I was like, okay, this looks really bad. I need to be fixing it. So that's kind of where we're at with this. I'm going to go ahead and let this one sit. This one I'm going to mix up into a loaf. And I'm going to feed this guy. I have 50, I have a 1 part water, 1 part, flour mixture in here, and I'm just going to feed this and put it back in the fridge, and I'm going to let it sit hopefully for not longer than a week. Yep, so we're just going to mix that in there. Now, I know there's tons and tons of recipes for using your discard, and so people will just keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. Not only do I not have time, I also don't have space to maintain that large of an amount of sourdough starter. If I had to, I definitely would, because having sourdough on hand, I mean, is such a nice, it's an amazing thing. I don't really want to make that many bread products. I don't want to have to make stuff for a throwaway all the time. So this is just going to go in the fridge now. It's fed. It's going to sit. This one, however, I don't have to do anything with it. I'm just going to put it right back in the fridge, and then I'll make bread again, hopefully this weekend. But that's it. I only have to, like, every 4 or 5 loaves, feed this. And 4 or 5 loaves could be 2 months apart, or a week apart, or a couple days apart, and then you feed this. So it's on, if this is more on my schedule, this is more on its own schedule. So which one do you want to be ran by? Do you want to be in control, or do you want the sourdough starter to be in control? But you get to choose, so that's fun. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and whip this up. I'm gonna get breakfast going for my kids, and I'll see you guys back here in just a little bit.
So the day got away from me, but I did manage to get both these loaves done. As you can tell, they both turned out great. The one on the right-hand side is from the wet starter. The one on the left-hand side is the dry starter. They were both incredible. They turned out super good. So as far as which one's best, you decide. We loved them both.